So now let us begin with the unit 2 of the chapter. So we will read the first para of this unit. Dearest Kuni, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened that I must tell you about at once. Over here, underline the phrase frame of mind. Okay? The meaning of the phrase I will give you while explaining the paragraph. Okay? We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning it was. So again underline the word trenches. It was crisp and quiet all about, as beautiful a morning as I have ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. Now underline the words crisp and frosty. Okay? I'm repeating myself. Underline the word crisp and frosty. So the letter begins in an informal and friendly salutation to someone named as Coney. As we know that Coney was the wife of the British soldier Jim Macpherson, and this letter belongs to Coney and it was written by her husband Jim, who was there in the battlefield. Alright? So while writing this letter, her husband was in very happy state of mind. He was very happy, happier frame of mind, which means a particular mood that influences one's attitude or behavior. Alright? So while writing this letter, he was very happy because something wonderful had happened to him the day before. Alright? And about that incident he was writing today and he was informing his wife. So he told his wife that all of them, means all of the soldiers, they was taking their position, alright, the day before Christmas. Sorry, the day before, when he was writing the letter, the day before all of his soldiers were taking the position in their trenches. Again, the meaning of the word trenches is it's a long, deep ditch or pit which dug out into the ground in order to hide from the soldiers. They dug out this pit in order to hide from their enemies. Alright? Yesterday morning, Christmas morning. So he was informing about the day before, about an incident which had happened to him. The weather was cold. Crisp means cold, fresh and energetic. The weather was cold, energetic, and it was quiet, it was noiseless. As beautiful a morning as I have ever seen. So the weather's coldness and noiseless, it made the weather very beautiful to him. And it was very frosty also. Surrounding of that area was covered with snow. Okay? So he was explaining, he was expressing his emotions about the festival which he just celebrated the day before, and he was explaining the weather of the day before. That how was the weather on the day Christmas? It was cold, it was noiseless, and it was frosty also. Alright? Now let's move towards the second paragraph. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it, but the truth I am ashamed to say, underline the word ashamed, is that Fritz began. Fritz, underline the word Fritz. First someone saw a white flag, underline the phrase white flag, waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas, Tommy, Happy Christmas. Underline the word Tommy. When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, same to you, Fritz, same to you. I thought that would be that. Now underline the phrase, that would be that. We all did, but then suddenly one of them was up there in his grey coat and waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads, someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Fritz up on the parapet, underline the word parapet, and another, keep your heads down. I told the man it's a trick, but it wasn't. So in this para, from this para we can understand that Jim, he was describing the incident to his wife Connie. He was telling her, and he was so excited to tell him that all the things, waving flag and wishing the Christmas day, all these things, all these series of incidents was started from the German soldiers first. Though he wanted to tell, and he was very ashamed that this series of incidents were started from the German soldiers, though he wanted to say that the British soldiers started first, but he told the truth. He told the truth to his wife. So, from the German soldier side, first one soldier, he stood up from his trench and he waved the white flag. He waved the white flag with the intention to surrender or to make peace with their opponents or with their enemies. Alright? So they waved, one soldier from German army, he waved the white flag and then he shouted to British soldiers and he wished the British soldiers Happy Christmas Tommy by saying Happy Christmas. Alright? So, over here, first the British soldiers, they got shocked. The whole scenario was very confusing for them. They did not get that what is happening around them, why their enemies are wishing. But when they got over from their shocking state of mind, they just wished their enemies back. They also wished them back, Happy Christmas friends, Happy Christmas. Then British soldiers thought that this is going to be end of the matter. Our enemies, they wished us and we too wished them back. Now this is the end of the matter. And again they all took their position in their trenches. But this was not the end of the story. One German soldier was still stood up from his trench and he was still showing the white flag. And he was shouting towards the British soldiers not to shoot them. So the British soldiers, they were observing their actions. They didn't shoot. They didn't shoot and they were just observing that what is happening, what their enemies are doing. After that, one by one, German soldiers, they started coming out from their trenches and they started walking towards the no man's lands. Okay? So, at that time, the chief of the British soldier, who was none other than Jim, Jim was the British soldier of Britain, he was the chief soldier of British Army. He warned his men to be alert because it can be a trick which is being played by the German soldiers. Okay? So he warned all of his men. He asked them to keep their heads down because it's a trick. But it wasn't a trick at all. That we will learn in the next paragraph. One of the Germans was waving a bottle above his head. It's Christmas Day, Tommy. We have schnapps. So underline the word schnapps. We have sausage. Underline the word sausage. We meet you. Yes. By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land and not a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. Come on, boys. What are we waiting for? And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose. But the truth is that it never even occurred to me that I should stop them. All along their 9 hours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another, grey coats, khaki coats, meeting in the middle, and I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. So, in the next para of his letter, he mentioned his wife that in the next scenario, one German soldier, he was waving a bottle of an alcohol over his head. From this sentence, we can understand each other. Alright? So, the man who was waving the bottle over his head, it was shouting towards the British soldiers that it is a Christmas day. We have shanabs. That means he had shanab with him and he wanted to share with the British soldiers. Shanab is a kind of alcohol which is made from grapes, and it is a German alcohol, okay? And on the other hand, sausage, it's a cylindrical piece of meat, alright? So that soldier from German army, by shouting, he was inviting the British soldiers to come and celebrate with us. We have shanabs, we have sausages, we have all the ration with us to celebrate today's day, because today is Christmas and no need to fight today. Alright? So, after his invitation, one by one, every soldier of German army, they were coming out from their trenches and they were coming towards the no man land. They were crossing the no man land and they were going towards the British piece of land, British occupied land. Alright? So, and also British soldier, they were just observing their actions. They had taken their position, but when they found that the German soldiers are coming towards them with no rifle with them, they were totally armless. At that time, they also understood that this is not a trick. No trick has been played by their enemies. It is just a celebration which they want to celebrate with us. Okay? So, one of the British soldier whose name was Little Private Morris, he was the first one from the British army. He stood up, he got up from his trench and he shouted back to his soldiers that why we are waiting for. When our enemy is coming toward us in order to make peace on the day of Christmas, in order to celebrate the festival, why we are waiting for, why we are hiding ourselves in our trenches. We should also walk towards them, we should also mix with them, and we should also celebrate the festival. Alright? So little Private Morris, he cheered up all his soldiers and he asked him to walk towards them. At that time, Jim had a thought that he was the chief of British army, and at that time he should have stopped his soldiers, but he didn't do. He thought at that time that now when all the soldiers are in order to making peace, who am I to stop them? And no any single thought had come into his mind which can stop his men from going at that side of the land. So he did not stop anyone and he became part of that celebration. He also became the part of that celebration. He also started walking towards the no man's land in order to celebrate the Christmas with their enemies. Alright? Or in order to make peace with their enemies on the day of the Christmas. Now let us move towards the next para. You cannot imagine, dearest Tony, my feeling as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz officer who approached me, hand outstretched, hands full. He said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it, I am from Dusseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas, Captain Jim Macpherson. I replied, and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. So in this para, Jim told his wife that when all the soldiers from both sides, when they mixed with each other, when they started celebrating, the chief soldier of the German army, he came to Jim and he shook his hands with him. While shaking his hand with him, he introduced himself, he told his name to him and he told him that he is from Dusseldorf. Alright? At that time, Jim also did the same. He also introduced position. Now underline the word outstretched, which means holding. Over here, the meaning of the word outstretched means while holding their hands, they were introducing the German soldier and the British soldiers. While shaking their hands with each other, they were introducing themselves. Alright? They were introducing their name, they were introducing the place from where they belong. Alright? Cello. Cello is a type of musical instrument which is larger than a violin. Okay? So in this para, from this para we can understand that the German chief and the British chief, they got to meet, they met with each other, they introduced themselves, and we can also understand from this para only that the main profession of these two chiefs are not the soldiers. Their primary job was not being a soldier. They were from some other profession. One of them means the German chief was a musician and the British chief was the teacher. He was a school teacher. And the German chief was a musician in orchestra. He used to play a cello, which is a musical instrument, alright? And Jim was a school teacher in Dorset, which is in the west part of the England, which lies in the west part of the England. So from this para itself, we can understand that their main profession was different with the job which now they are doing, alright? Ah, Dorset, he smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration. Underline the word Russian. And his excellent sausage. And we talked, Coney. How we talked? He spoke almost perfect English, but it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from the Madding Crowd. So out there in no man's land, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sir James Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and one son, born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki. Underline the word huddles, which means crowd. So there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating. Henceforth, and I shared what was left of your wonderful Christmas in Coney. He thought that marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. Underline the word marzipan. So it's a sweet covering, sweet coating on a cake. It's a creamy layer on a cake which is made from sugar, eggs and almond. And it looks yellow and white colored. Okay, it is yellow and white in color. It is a paste of almond, sugar, egg whites, and it is used to coat cakes or to make it confectionery. Alright? So, I agreed. We agreed about everything, and he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like it, Coney. So in the next para of his letter, Jim explained Coney about the German chief. He told his wife, that the German soldier, when he heard the name Dorset, he exclaimed in delightness that he smiled when he heard the name Dorset, as if he knows this place, and he knows this place very well. He said the same thing to Jim, that when he heard the name Dorset, he told him that yes, I know this place and I know it very well, as if he had been there. Okay? At that time they shared their ration with each other, they shared their rum and sausages with each other, and they started their conversation. But one question aroused in Jim's mind, that how did they talk? Because he was a German soldier and Jim was a British soldier. How their languages, how they interact with each other. Because the German soldier was very fluent in language, in English language. But the question is, from where did he learn the English language and from where did he learn about the place Dorset? He also, the German soldier, also told Jim that his favorite author is Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy is a British author and his favorite play is also from the same writer, Far from the Madding Crowd. So the German chief's favorite writer was Thomas Hardy, as well as his favorite book was also Far from the Madding Crowd, written by the same writer, Thomas Hardy. So in No Man's Land, Jim and Hans Wolf, they were having a conversation on the characters from the novel Far from the Madding Crowd. And the characters were Bathsheba, Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy. And later on, Jim found that Hans had never been in Dorset and he had never been in other part of England also. But from where he learned about the place Dorset and from where did he learn the language English? Then Hans told Jim that he had learned the language English from his school and from the novels which he used to read. Okay? So his favorite novel, as I have told you, his favorite novel was Far from the Madding Crowd, which is written by Thomas Hardy. So from there, within that novel, three characters were there, Bathsheba, Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy. And within that novel only, he got to learn about the place Dorset, because this place Dorset had been mentioned in the novel Far from the Madding Crowd. Alright, so they were having conversation between us, they are exchanging their thoughts with each other. Then Hans also added some more information about him, that he is married and he is the father of 6-month-old son. Then Jim also, when Jim turned around himself, he found that all khaki and the grey soldiers, they are meeting with each other, they are playing with each other, they are drinking with each other, they are dancing, they are celebrating the Christmas all around. Alright? Now, Hans Wolf and Jim, they shared the wonderful Christmas cake which was made by Jim's wife, Connie. Alright? So Connie had sent a Christmas cake to her husband Jim when he was in the battlefield. Alright? That same cake was liked by the German chief. He liked the cake and he also stated that this was the best cake he had ever had. Okay? So, while talking with each other, while having the conversation with each other, both the chiefs from German and British soldier, they realized that they have so many things common in between them. They agreed about everything which they have talked, and though they were enemy to each other, but they had same thought, they had same choices, likes and dislikes. And at the end of this para, Jim also told his wife that this was the best Christmas he had ever seen in his life. He had ever celebrated in his life. Because this time he was celebrating Christmas amid of a war in the battlefield with their enemies. That is why this Christmas was very special to them. Okay? Now let's move towards the next para of the unit 2. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Greatcoats were dumped in piles to make goal posts, and the next thing we knew, it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war, a football match. No one dies in a football match, no children are orphaned, no wives become widows. So, in the next para of his letter, Jim told Coney that someone among them came with the idea to have a football match between the two enemy country. Alright? Because they were celebrating Christmas, so they planned to play a match between these two enemy countries. Someone came. Jim was not sure that who came up with this idea, and then the soldiers, they made the pile, they made the goal post with the help of their coats, okay, and they started playing the match. So when the two teams, they were playing against each other, the two teams were the British, one side British armies were there, British soldiers were there, and then one side, another side, German soldiers were there. Means they were playing against each other. So while playing, their chiefs, Hans Wolf and Jim McPherson, they started cheering up their soldiers. Okay? And while cheering, they were also stamping their feet. Stamping feet means to keep putting one foot down hard and noisy on the ground, and then the other, in order to make yourself less cold or to keep yourself warm. Okay? Or to make a noise. So by doing stamping feet, means by stamping their feet, they were doing two things. They were cheering up for their teams, and they were also keeping themselves warm, because they were not playing the match. They were just seeing and they were just enjoying. Alright? So when they were cheering up for the team, they were, means I'm talking about here Jim and Hans Wolf, the two chiefs of the British soldiers and the German soldiers respectively. While cheering up for their teams, they found that their breath is mixing up with them, because they were so excited that they did not realize that they were just standing next to each other, and they were celebrating, they were cheering up, they were energizing their team. Alright? Now, a little while, Hans Wolf told Jim McPherson that Jim McPherson, a war should be resolved in this way only. In this way only means a war should be resolved by playing a match, by competing each other in a sport. Because if we will solve a war, if we will solve a conflict among two countries, if in this way, then no soldier will die, no children will get orphaned, no wives will become widowed. So this would be the possible way, this will be the possible way to solve any conflict. That was a suggestion from Hans Wolf to Jim McPherson. He wanted that this war should be end in such way, because in this way the players, the soldiers, they were enjoying. They were not losing their lives. They were not losing their families. So this idea also, the same idea Jim also liked. He also thought that whatever Hans is saying, he's correct. A war should be solved in such way only, so that it will not harm anyone or any soldier, or it will not affect any other people or any other soldier's family. Alright, now let's move towards the next para. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning probably. We laughed at that, and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Coney, Fritz won 2-1, but as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. So in the next para, Jim told Coney that when Hans Wolf was suggesting Jim that a war should be end by playing match, by competing in sports. At that time, Jim, what he did, he just lightened the conversation by saying that if a match is going to happen between two countries in order to solve any conflict, at that time I will prefer to play cricket. Then I'm damn sure, I'm absolutely sure that Tommies means Britishers, the people of Britain, they are going to win the match, because cricket is the game which was originated from England itself. All right, that is why Jim was quite sure that if a cricket match is going to happen between British and German soldiers, then he is sure that British soldiers is only going to win. All right. Then they watched together the game. They laughed at this topic. They were enjoying. Now, at the end of this para, Jim was very sorry. He was feeling upset because the Freds, means the Germans, won the football match, and they scored 2 goals. They scored 2, and the British scored 1 only. Alright, but Hans Wolf was as generous person. He was very kind, he was very gentle. He then shared his thought with Jim that the goal from the British soldiers' side, that was wider than the Freds, that was wider than the Germans, right? So by this thought, he told Jim that if we see the wideness of a goal, then you should have won the match. Okay? You should have won the match, but when the winners were decided, it was quite unfair for Jim, and they were taking this topic lightly. They were just having conversation. The main motto of this playing football match between the two countries was to enjoy the very Christmas Day, the holy Christmas Day. The main motto was that only. They were not serious about the game, that who won, who lost. All right? Who lost the match, sorry. So they don't have any problem. They were not serious, but they were happy that they spent their Christmas Day in this way. Alright? Now let's move towards the next para. Then the time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the schnapps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. By this time, all their rations, it was finished. The football match that they were playing, that was finished, and now that is the time to go back to their respective trenches, go back to their respective lands. So that made upset to each and every soldier who were present there, who were having the celebration of Christmas. They got upset, but they couldn't do anything, because that was the end. They wished each other for their safety, for their security, that they will be soon able to meet their families, that war will end soon. They wished each other the same. Okay, and also that they could all go home so that they can meet with their families, they can reunite with their families once again. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides, Hans Wolf said. Take care, Jim Macpherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt he turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey-coated men drifting back towards their trenches. So, in the previous para, Jim wished Hans good luck, that he was hoping that Hans will soon meet with his family. The war will be end soon. They all could go home. Okay. In the next para, Hans also wished the same for Jim. He asked him to take care of himself, and he also told him that he is not going to forget this moment, and neither the Jim Macpherson, because the best moment, they were having the best Christmas present. They were having the best Christmas in their lives. All right. They saluted each other and then they walked away from each other. They started walking towards their respective trenches. Unwillingly means they did not want to go. They did not want this celebration to end. They just wanted to enjoy more. They just wanted to resolve this war in this way only. So all the soldiers, they were moving from each other. They were going back to their trenches unwillingly because they were not willing to go. Now, at the last time, the Hans Wolff, the German chief, he turned back. He waved Jim Macpherson, and then he also became one of the hundreds of grey-coated men. That means before that moment, he was with Jim. He was having a conversation. He was enjoying with him, and he became a good friend of Jim. But now, while walking towards his trench, again he became his enemy, because he was going towards his destination, for which thing he came here. He had joined his country's army. So again he became that person only. Again they became each other's enemy. Now, in the next para, that night, back in our dugouts. Dugouts means a shelter. It is a synonym of trench. Okay, a shelter for soldiers made by digging a hole in the ground and covering it. So we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. So carol, it's a Christmas folk song. Alright? It was Styly Nat. That means in English we can say Silent Night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of While Shepherds Watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. So, when they went back to their trenches, during the night, the German soldiers, they started singing a carol. That means they started singing a Christmas folk. Alright? And the name of that carol was Silent Night. So, in order to give them that night, back in our dugouts, it's a synonym of the word trench, we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. It was Stille Nacht or Silent Night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of While Shepherds Watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. So carol, it's a Christmas song which is usually used in the day of Christmas, on the day of Christmas, to celebrate it by singing a folk song. Alright? Now, as soon as they went back to their trenches, the German soldiers, they started singing a carol which was named as Stille Nacht, in English Stille stands for silent and Nat stands for night. So as soon as they went back to their dugout shelters, they could hear the Germans singing a carol very melodiously. They sang Stille Nacht or the Silent Night. Then the Tommies sang while shepherds watched this carol. British soldiers also started. They exchanged carols that night with each other. They means the German and the British soldiers. They started singing their respective carols on the day of Christmas, and then they exchanged their carols at that night, and after a while they were all silent. Jim, in this para, he calls this time of peace and goodwill, and the time which he is going to treasure as long as he lives, because for him this time was very precious, and he's going to have it. He's going to remember this time which he had with his enemies as long as he will live. All right. So in the last para of his letter, he told Connie, "Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I am sure of it." After telling her about the amazing Christmas night, Jim tells Connie that things will settle soon. He was hoping that that means that war will settle soon, and by next Christmas he will be with her. He will be celebrating the Christmas by next year with Connie, and this war will be nothing, just a distant memory. By the next year, this war will be a memory, and he tells her that his experience with the German soldiers has made him realize that how both the sides crave for peace. He assures Connie that they will be reunited soon, and then he signs off by saying, "Your loving Jim."